It's the Brad and John Show.
And it is the Brad and John Show for Friday, January 3rd, 2025, our second show of the new year. We did not do a show on January 1st. And John, I have to tell you, there's a story that I think's missing from your top three, which we covered in the previous block.
Wait, what is it, Brad?
Well, there's a couple stories. First off, the story about the supposedly the end of the battle for prosecuting attorney in St. Louis County. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. Maybe if people go to my website, they'll find three pieces about it up today, Brad.
But you didn't bring it up in the top three, wasn't it?
You're right, because you think it supersedes a dude touching another dude's thigh in a creepy way, allegedly?
Let me think about this for a minute. You're right, John.
Go ahead, Brad. Yeah, the battle is over, but tell us about it.
Well, supposedly the battle is not over. What is it? What the Missouri Appeals Court essentially said, the state has the right to appoint the prosecuting attorney in St. Louis County for an unexpired term, which is going to be happening because Wesley Bell is going on to D.C., which is what? Monday? When do they swear him in? Isn't it next week sometime where they get sworn in?
Yeah, it's really soon. You're right. I think he did officially resign yesterday, though.
Really? Interesting. Not before he took a swipe at the other county councilman, but that's a whole nother story. But they have essentially overruled Sam Page, and they have put in the lady who was the assistant prosecuting attorney, and now she's the number one corner office dweller. But the interesting part of this is that, and this is your St. Louis, if you're a St. Louis County resident, your St. Louis County tax dollars not at work, they're now appealing it to the Missouri Supreme Court, which, once again, attorneys love that because the meter keeps running. Right, John?
Yes, yeah, a lot more attorney fees. And here's the thing. Who's paying for it? It's not private people. It's just us, right?
Right, it's the taxpayers. And this is all, and once again, there comes a point when you as an elected official have to say, okay, I think I've got the 411 here, and I think I realize that, I just need to move on. And the other deal about this, Kurt, he's Vanilla Ice's brother, isn't he? Isn't he Kurt Van Winkle? Isn't that his name? What's his name?
Yeah, Kurt Van Winkler. Yeah, he did Ice Ice Baby, and he worked for some ambulance chasers for a while.
Right, and he was the guy in the background doing Ice Ice Baby.
He was a member of the VIP, which was Vanilla Ice Posse, by the way.
Right.
Go ahead, Brad.
Right. Okay. So he gave us up his job. He was a federal prosecutor. Wasn't that what he was doing?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so he quit in order to take this job. He thought it was a done deal, Brad.
Right. And it's not a done deal. So what does he do now? He's the guy that's like, okay, does he go back to his old boss and say, hey, can you hire me back? Or do we have a situation where he shows up for work today and essentially says, I don't care what the courts say, I'm still the prosecuting attorney because Sam Page says I am. Does he squat?
No, he's gonna pull a George Costanza, and he's gonna go back to his old job and pretend that he didn't quit working there. I think that's what he'll do. Now, here's the thing. Silliness aside for 1 second, Court Van Ostrand could get a job anywhere doing anything. I think I don't know if he was at Spencer Fane. He was at multiple really good law firms in St. Louis. But yeah, I mean, Court's going to get a job doing whatever he wants to do.
So we're not worried about Court then, right?
We're not worried about Court. Although, however, Brad, as Sam Page pointed out, Court would have been the very first gay St. Louis County prosecutor.
Is Court gay?
Yeah. So, and it was in Sam Page's press release. Yeah, the Court would have been the very first gay. Can I tell you a funny Court Van Ostrand story?
John, can I say one thing before you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Are you tired of the first? I'm so tired of that. You know what I'm saying?
I do know, but I don't know. Here's the thing. In your bio, you're the first Hazelwood School District graduate to ever be banned from Stelmache's Market.
Well, that was. And I also think I'm the first Hazelwood graduate because I was banned from Tracy Ellis's websites and social media before you were. So I think I was the
That's
first.
True. But when you die, I could say I'm the only living Hazelwood School District graduate to be banned.
Right. Okay. So, yes, I was. See, once again, this is like I give you the compliment because you bring up these things. What's the comedy genre they call observational comedy, and it always involves name brands and places that don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, like that's the
I do. Like, we'll pick up some Red Hot Riplets at Central Hardware right off there of New Florissant.
You know, it's funny. I was listening to one of our best of shows, and I gave the explanation one time about how my office was around the corner from the old Vienna potato chip company, and the place caught on fire one day, if you remember that, back in the back. And I don't think they're made in St. Louis anymore. Didn't they get bought? Didn't old Vienna get bought by some national potato chip company or something like that?
No, it's actually a pretty recent development. The guy who was CEO got arrested at Hollywood Casino because he allegedly had some ecstasy on him. And it turns out he also had a traffic warrant.
Well, no, hold it.
And he ran into an a-hole cop, and it was a whole thing.
Nelly owns old Vienna potato chips?
Yeah, he also owns Vest Soda.
No, he doesn't. Seriously?
Yeah, did you know? He purchased Vest Soda, actually.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he wrote a song called Thirsty. Just whistle.
No, John, you're pulling my leg. I mean,
I am pulling your leg,
okay.
Yeah, but not your bad one. I'm only pulling your good one, Brad.
Lately, that's both of them. But anyway, the idea being, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, so we'll move on from that. Okay, number 2. There is a story on St. Louis Public Radio that HOK has gotten the contract to build or design the new St. Louis Airport terminal. I will go on record once again saying, I can't believe they're going to do this. This is, to me, you might as well just take the billions of dollars it's going to take, put it in a big, circle, like maybe borrow the Jones Dome, throw it on the floor, put lighter fluid on it, and set it on fire. John, have you flown recently?
Yeah, I've flown within the last several months. Yeah.
Okay. Have you found a problem with did you fly Southwest?
I've flown both out of Terminal 1 and Terminal 2, and I have found both terminals to be just fine.
Same with me. And especially, and I speak for Southwest flyers because I haven't flown anything else in Southwest in years. I don't fly that much anymore. I used to fly once or twice a week. The new terminal, which they called the East Terminal, which is now Terminal B or Terminal 2, whatever they are renaming things. Once again, if you have like someone drop you off at the airport, you can walk out on the departure, which is the upper floor of that terminal. You can get out of your car, take 20, 30 steps, go through a security checkpoint, another 20, 30 steps, and if you're lucky enough to be like gate 7, 8, 9, or 10, take another 20, 30 steps, and you're at your gate. And I'm going like, and they want to do this deal where it's going to be one big monstrous terminal where you got to go through and once again, we're talking about the fact that we're not going to tear down the old place that's got all the asbestos in the roof. Oh, we can't do that because that's world famous. That was in the movie Up in the Air. We can't possibly tear that down, and we're going to build a new terminal. And I'm going like, for what? Like, when is it to the point where you are having incredible, and the problem with that is you're going to have one TSA checkpoint. As it is right now, you have multiple TSA checkpoints. You have one at the beginning of each terminal, which is, what are they essentially, I don't even think they're using B anymore. Were you in A terminal when you flew?
Gosh, I don't remember.
Well, I believe there's only 2 active terminals, 2 active concourses in the old terminal building. I think that's A and C.
You're right. You're right. It is A and C, Brad. You're right.
Yeah, so there's no B terminal anymore. It's there. They just don't use it. So, and then essentially Southwest is taken over. And I think there's a couple of the charters that use the East terminal as well, too. Why do we need a new terminal? I mean, this is like the crazy thing with W1W, the new runway. I mean, I go back 2 years ago when I had Guy Midkiff, who just retired as American Airlines pilot, when Guy was doing a talk show for me at the other station on Crap, when we did Talkin' Crap. We routinely told the story about how if he was given that runway by the air traffic controllers, they would always ask if they could not use that runway, because if you're landing from the east, which means you're heading west, that would be runway 19, that would be runway 29, 1129. If you're landing into the west, when you get to the end of the runway, you're almost at 270. And then you have to taxi all the way back from that point. And keep in mind, if you drive it on 70, doing 60 miles an hour, takes you what, 3-4 minutes? If you're taxiing at 25 miles an hour, takes you 8, 9, 10 minutes to go from one end of the airport to the other. I just don't get it. I mean, once again, tax dollars not at work, but that's just me.
Here's why stuff like this never gets stopped no matter what. Think of the number of people, Brad, in public and private sector, whether you work for the government or the airport commission or you work at HOK, how many people had airport expansion on their career crown jewel list? Like, there's people who say they want to be able to look back in 8 years or however long it takes and say, I was one of the people responsible. See that airport over there? We did it. And yeah, we were over budget. And yeah, it took longer than expected. And yeah, we didn't really need it. But I had a hand in that. Think of the number of people that are incentivized to do this, Brad.
Well, I guess the thing that's frustrating to me is it's one of those things where you look at all the money and once again, remember you and I talked about this when the thing came out. I think this was the beginning of the BJ show where the PR guy came out and said, I mean, he might as well said that it's going to bring Jesus Christ back to the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was $18 trillion of economic activity.
Right.
Mayor St. Louis Inc. said that actually.
According to him, New York City was going to empty out of the corporate headquarters and they're all going to move back to St. Louis. And everybody would get a new Mercedes, and there would be no poverty in the city of St. Louis anymore. And North County would return to its former glamour and prominence. And John Combest would move back into North County in the Spanish Lake, and he would send his kids through the Hazelwood School District. That's what was going to happen when the new terminal was going to be built. I'm going like talking about overselling something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to manufacture support. And also, think about the fact that if you're in the city, again, let's point to Tashara or you're looking to Sam Page, what kind of positive news, what kind of sunlight do you have on the horizon? Pretty much nothing. So let's point to something like an airport and say, hey, look, not only are we fixing crime, but we're fixing the airport.
I guess. Last thing to talk about this block, KSDK, Channel 5, moving out of downtown. Have you seen this story?
I did. I was going to send it to you last night. I didn't send it to you. But now, remember, Brad, they say they're staying in the city. They just won't tell us where.
Right. It's a secret because of the fact that they're in lease negotiations. Now, the interesting thing for me is they say they own their building. Now, if you know that building, they're at 1000 Market. They have about a 10-story office building that's like connected to their structure. And I thought that they were leasing that, but apparently they own that part of the building. I guess it's like a condo kind of thing, where they don't own the high-rise portion of it, but they own the low-rise portion of it, which is their studios. And they've been there for a long time. 70,000 square feet. They got a big footprint there. But the thing that if you read the story, it's pretty much they don't like the neighborhood. And they don't like the fact that there's not secure parking. That's what they keep talking about. They talk about the fact that their employees have to walk. I guess there's a parking garage they use. And I know the Channel 5 vans are all parked outside. What would that be? Is that on Walnut? I can't remember what street that would be.
I don't know what the cross street is.
It's on the backside of their building. And the reason we bring this up because Channel 2 was the first, and now they were not in downtown, they were out at Hampton and 40, which was in the city. They moved out to Maryland Heights, and then within the last year, I guess it's been maybe a little bit over a year, Channel 4 moved out to Maryland Heights. Matter of fact, have you seen their new digs as you drive north there on 270?
No, I haven't. Where are they, Brad?
Okay, all you have to do to figure out where they're at is if you're driving north on 270, when you cross under Page, take a look at the building on your right. You can't miss it because it has like 8 satellite dishes that are literally parallel to 270 to the point where if your car broke down and you walk down the embankment there, you could touch the satellite dishes. They're just to the east of 270 on the north side of Page, and that's where they moved. So now Channel 5 is going to, and they were in the One Gateway building forever and ever and ever. They moved into there when the place was built. I mean, them and Camo X, because Camo X was on the 3rd and the 7th floor, and Camo X moved out there a long time ago. I think 12 years ago or something like that, maybe even longer. I mean, what does this say? It's my point, but it's still, the interesting thing about it is if you read the statements from the general manager, she talks about, we still want to be part of the city of St. Louis. And she's been in, right. she's been in contact with Tashara Jones. Now, where do you think, take a guess, do you think they're going north? I doubt that. Do you think?
No, of course not. They can't.
do you
I
think-
mean, if they're concerned with safety, they're not. Where are you going to go? St. Louis Hills? Are you going to go right to the edge on Skinker and call yourself city residents?
I don't know. I mean, apparently it's already a building that's already there. It's not like they're talking about a lease, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't think there's going to be a ground lease. It sounds like they're going to lease an existing structure, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm like thinking, where would that be? I mean, and the whole thing is, if you read the article, it talks about the fact that their move primarily is they want secure parking. Now, if they move to North City, they could have that. They put up 20-foot walls with 50 cal machine guns on in the corners and things like that. But I don't think they're moving there. And Paul McKee.
Yeah. But imagine too the conversations that KSDK had starting, I'm guessing a couple years ago, where they were like, okay, putting money aside, we want to be able to stay. We want to be able to say that we're the only television station still in the city of St. Louis. So what are some locations that are safe in the city? Because we want to be able to say we're still invested in the urban core.
Well, it can't be Soulard, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, it's got to be someplace south, wouldn't you think?
Imagine telling your employees, okay, we got good news and bad news. The good news is we're moving somewhere safer, and people are like, oh my God, we're moving out to the factory. It's going to be great. People are civilized, and we won't have our cars broken into. And then you say, but we're staying in the city of St. Louis, and they're like, time to put in a resume at KTVI,
And once again, when the folks at Channel 4 and Channel 2 moved out into Maryland Heights, no more 1% city tax. No more, none of that stuff. But it's like part of my pitch with the Westplex Chamber of Commerce. Why is St. Charles County ignored for the most part, news-wise? Because everybody in the news business lives somewhere along Highway 40 and not in St. Charles County. They're somewhere Central West End or Town and Country, Clayton, that whole corridor, Chesterfield, Wildwood, the whole bit. So you get a St. Louis County-centric news product because that's where they live. You get a St. Louis City-centric news product because that's where they work. And, it's just like, I won't say the name of the talk show host, but there's a talk show host who does a show, and I won't say on which radio station, you can probably figure out. One day when he's going to a new client and he's going to visit the new client, which he's going to get paid to talk about, he gets lost in St. Charles County. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, what does that tell you?
I do know. And think of the fact that you've done yeoman's work here, Brad, for the Westplex Chamber. And I don't know if it's too early to announce Cupid Fest at Carshield Field, and you're going to pour a lot of water, assuming that the temperature is freezing around around Valentine's Day. You're going to have Cupid Fest, and people can ride Cupid's arrow down into a brick wall.
But what John also doesn't know about one of the parts of Cupid Fest, we're going to have an archery company come out, and we're going to use real arrows, and it's going to be Dodge the Arrow. It's going to be like Dodge Arrow, sort of like dodgeball, but it's only going to be arrows.
It'll be like William Tell. You could stand there with chocolate hearts on your head, and then people that are untrained and blindfolded, or in Brad's case, he doesn't even need a blindfold, try to shoot an arrow at your head.
We have to take a break.